web page automation. Hey Manu, it's over to you. All yours.
Hey, thanks, buddy. So good morning, all. We will come to the basic Selenium, Cucumber, all these stuff a little later. Okay. Let's just imagine that we have joined a new company or maybe a new team. Okay. So just tell me, what will be that first thing that you're gonna ask as you join the project? I mean, maybe you guys can use the chat window, please. I mean, what will be that thing which you love to get as you start working in a project? Anyone? I don't see any response. All right. Oh, somebody said login, somebody said URL. Well, if you ask me, I'll say that I would love to get a test case, not a BRD or a project document or anything. So the beauty of the any test case is that it will help you to understand the end-to-end application, right? Yeah, you can understand how, I mean, even in a test case, you will have the username, password, URL, and you could just navigate and play around the website as you get the test case, right? You will have everything over there. What's the actual, what's the expected, what do you need, what do you don't need, you will have everything. So you will understand almost every business scenarios and almost like every critical business functionality or which your customer wants. Now, have you ever imagined if you could able to automate the same manual test case itself? I mean, you have that test case, right? Just imagine if you're able to automate the same manual test case, which means someone who really don't have much knowledge about automation itself can automate it, right? So you can change your username. You can even change the environment. So maybe you can change from development region to QA region or maybe to the production. So you don't need to vary it. So you have the same document as test case and the same document as a automation script, right? So that's the beauty of any Cucumber framework. Okay, so let's start with a basic automation. So prior to that, I will just share two files. So I will share you a Maven dependency file. I think we have already shared it. Let me just try to get it. Okay, 1 second, guys. So I hope most of you have done the basic JDK installation, right? So right now I have just shared the Maven dependency, and I will also share the basic Selenium code. So those who are in their laptops can just go through this and do the installation part, all right? Okay, so let me just share my screen right now. So I hope everyone can see my screen, right? Okay, so this is the basic POM XML. So where we include all the dependencies. So in the video which we shared, we have already mentioned whatever dependencies that need to be added, right? So just have a quick look over here. I have shared the same thing. So if you're trying to install this right now, maybe it will take a little bit time. So as you could see the word dependency, so that means our project will be totally dependent on these jar files, okay? So let's move on. So I hope you guys know how to attach this dependency, and you might have created a simple Maven project just like this. Let's move into this login test page. Now tell me, how many of you have automated this kind of a simple login scenario at least once? Believe me, when years back when I started automation, this was the only program that gave me confidence that yes, even I will be able to automate. I mean, I really didn't have that much knowledge in coding, but somehow I copied these code from some website. I just pasted it on, and man, I mean, this ran, you know, I mean, the moment when we see the browser launched for the first time, trust me, that's the most happiest moment. But the fact is that we might not be knowing what's written inside it. So if you just look into it, you know that we have given a URL over here, and we have also given username, password, etc. So I will try to take you guys a little more into this programming stuff. I mean, I cannot take that deeply, but a little bit. So the first thing I created was a class, right? I mean, I just created a class login test. And the second thing is WebDriver. So I have instantiated it. So WebDriver is the Selenium interface. So can you guys tell me what an interface is all about? I mean, many times when a manual tester or someone starts to automate, the biggest question that comes to their mind is, how much should I learn Java, or how much should I learn programming knowledge? Will I be able to do that? Because I'm from a non-CS background. I am not really that good in logic and all those things. Guys, it's like the more you learn, the more it will be, your life will become easy. You will get all the code, almost everything from the Google. You just need to copy it and you need to paste it. But the thing is, you need to understand where to paste it. And there comes your programming knowledge use. Okay. So WebDriver is an interface. So this WebDriver helps to communicate with our browser. Okay. We'll come to the line number 19. So WebDriver Manager. So this helps to download the binary files that required to up your browsers. Like, so if here I have given .chrome driver, so which means I need to launch my Chrome driver browser. All right. If you want to launch maybe an IE, then you have to type in IE driver. Okay. And then you have the new Chrome driver. That's a class. We have created an object of this. So the most common Java code which any automation tester will say is WebDriver driver is equal to new Chrome driver. So WebDriver is an interface and Chrome driver is a class. So if you want to launch your IE driver, then the code will change to WebDriver driver is equal to new IE driver. So it all depends. I mean, we have the flexibility, which code, which browser you want to launch, and accordingly you can change the browser over here. And the next line is, you could understand it, right? I mean, it's mentioned like driver.manage.window.maximize. So the moment any browser has been launched, we will just maximize it. Okay. The next is the command .get. This is very self-explanatory, right? I mean, seeing all these codes, sometimes even when we don't have that much knowledge, we get some kind of confidence. So .get, what will it do is like, I mean, it will launch the browser and it will enter the URL and comes to that login page. So I have just classified these 4 lines of code as the precondition to launch the browser. So even when we have any manual test case, we do write a precondition, right? I mean, these are the things that need to be done before executing a manual test case. Same way, it's very simple. We have just divided the first portion as the precondition. Now comes the browser action. So if you see over here, driver is an object and it can only communicate directly to the browser. So we have multiple driver commands, like, I mean, one is get, then another is get title. So I have used that in the line number 31. So what it will do is like, it will fetch the title from that current browser. So driver object can interact directly to the browser, but there is a catch. It's not only the browser whom we need to handle. We need to enter into the DOM structure of that browser, right? So where we have the username field, we have the password field or radio button, checkbox, you name it, you have all these things. So in order to interact with that, we need to use another interface, namely web element. So with the help of this driver object using find element, I will show you how I took this this locator. So using this locator, by is another class, and using this ID, I will fetch the locator, and this method returns me something of type web element. Okay, I hope it's clear. Web element username is equal to driver.find element by.id. So instead of ID, you could use XPath, link text, class name, CSS selector, You have around 8. So you could customize it and use accordingly. The widely used will be ID, class name, and XPath. Okay. Now you have the web element. So now you have located that element. And what's the next thing? So just imagine you open this browser. Now your cursor is on the username field. That's the only action. I mean, I'm just trying to help out the beginners. Okay. I mean, pardon me, the experts and intermediate people. All right. So line number 25 does that. And what does line number 26 do? Send keys is a method where it will transfer this value into that text field. Okay. So username dot send key. So in that username text field, this value will be entered, Vinod. And the same thing happened for the password. So just for a change, I have used class name in line number 29, and we could see a method dot click. Okay, so what it will do is like it will click over that button. So if you ask me, this is one kind of abstraction. I mean, you don't know what happens inside this method, but you know one thing: if you use this method, that button will get clicked. Okay, so that's a kind of abstraction. Now line number 30, it's not highly recommendable because we shouldn't use the thread, but as a beginner I just want to use the same stuff itself. So what happens is like you have entered the username, you have entered the password, and you have clicked the submit button, right? But this program doesn't know that whether the page has been loaded completely or not. So maybe you need, after logging in, you might need to click add new or maybe register myself or something like that. But you need to give a little bit time to launch the browser, right? So this thread.sleep, what it will do is like, I mean, it will wait till the browser has been launched. I mean, even if it's launched or not, it will wait for 1 minute. Okay. And if you come to the line number 33, as I told, it's with the help of this driver object, the get title method will fetch you the title of that browser and you get it. So the action is over, precondition is done, action is done, and the last part is verification or assertion. So if you compare this part with your test case, I can say that this is the part where we do actual versus expected comparison. Okay, the first thing will be, I mean, launch the browser, then you enter username, password, and click submit button. Action is done. Now the verification part. And we have used the JUnit for this verification. So we have multiple testing frameworks like JUnit, TestNG. So for this time, we have used the JUnit. And in the JUnit, we have a class named Assert. All right. And this class have few static methods like assert equals, assert not equals, assert true. Okay. These are the static methods. So those who have revisited a little bit of Java, they know, I mean, class name dot method, that's how we call a static method, and object dot method, that's how we call an instance method, right? So with the help of this assert equals method, we are comparing it. So I know the expected result. That's how we actually do it, right? The verification. In the test case, we'll write, okay, ERP/dashboard should be there as the title, and you just compare it looking into the browser. Okay, that's the actual and expected. So the same thing happens here. So if both comparison works, you can say, I mean, just for the sake of imagination, maybe you can say, I mean, it compares. And if it's equal, then this test case is passed. If not, the test case is failed. All right. And you could see two more annotations I have given on top of two methods. So on top of verify login, I have given attest, and on top of closed browser, I have given at the rate after. So these are the annotations that's given by the JUnit. Okay. So if you create a simple Java class, a very simple Java class, and you could see the entry point of a very simple Java class is like public static void main, right? You write n number of methods, but you should definitely write a public static void main. True. That's the entry point, and from there it navigates. Then you create the object, and with the help of that object, you traverse across the program. So that's why Java is called an object-oriented programming language. So if you look over here, you don't have a public static void main. Rather, for these testing classes or TestNG or JUnit class, the entry point will be @test. So what JVM looks for is like, it will check for a method which have the annotation @test. There it goes. So as you run it, so maybe let's try to run it. I've been talking a little long. So the moment it runs, what happens is it will come inside the verify login method and it will execute the preconditions to launch the browser. Username, password will be entered, and finally assertion. So after @test will be completed, and then @after will be executed. So some kind of couplings happen behind it. All right, so let's try to run this as a JUnit test. Annotations can be slightly different for TestNG, and so I mean basically the assertion is the same thing. Even for the TestNG, you have this assert equals, and for JUnit also it's the same thing. All right. So now the browser is launching. So if you look over the top, you could see it. I mean, Chrome is being controlled by automated test software. Okay. I hope you guys might be trying a little bit in your own system. If I go a little fast, I mean, anytime you could watch the same video in this YouTube channel. Okay. So the test has been completed, and you could see it's been green. Now let's try to inspect it. So I told you earlier how I gave that ID locators and all those things, right? So let's go to Chrome, and I will launch the browser, and let's try to inspect it. In the meantime, you should try to do this in your laptop. I mean, if you're logged in your laptop, and put a chat in the Zoom, someone among us will definitely try to help you guys if you find anywhere difficulty. So what's the first thing that need to be done? Click over here, right click. So this is the line which happens the send key. So inspect, okay, and you will see the DOM structure. There you go. So input type is equal to text, and ID is equal to login form underscore hyphen username. You just need to copy it and paste it after by.id part. Yeah, that's how that username field has been pinpointed or selected. So similarly for the password, right click, inspect. This time if you see, input type is equal to password, and then comes ID is equal to login form hyphen password. It's as simple as that, isn't it? Yeah, there you go. So I have located both, and now I'll just pass the value using the send keys method. Okay, this method comes under the web element interface. So web element interface have multiple methods too, like selected, is displayed. So I guess around 16 methods are there which you need to learn. Now we'll check the login button. So this time I take the class. So button type is equal to submit, and I took the class value. Guys, there are more things over here. I mean, you have partial link text, XPath, and XPath itself is really complicated, which will really take a little more time to learn. But just for the sake of simplicity, I'm just doing this right away. So I hope we are good at this point, right? Now, let's try to convert this into a simple Cucumber file. So this is called, I just created a features folder. Okay, you just right click on the project and create a commit feature. Now we'll create a feature file. So we'll just create, so make sure when you create the file, the extension should be .feature. Okay, that should be very clear. It should be .feature. There it goes. This is our feature file. I guess many had tried, many might have tried creating this, right? I mean, few were asking for I mean, the dependencies and all those things. So this is the heart of Cucumber. Okay, even if we don't install the plugin, definitely we can run the Cucumber test, but this makes our life much easier. So this is very much self-explanatory, guys. I mean, if you look, you have all these as the keyword, and that hash means comment. So the first keyword is feature. So in the feature, you list out the scenario. Then so it's been explained over there, right? And then the next thing is scenario. So here we rule business rule. So let's say feature as testing the ERP application, scenario as to verify the title, and then you have this given, when, then. All these are simple plain English text language, and this is called as Gherkin's language. Okay, these keywords like feature, scenario, given, when, then, and, but, scenario outline, examples, background, docstring. You could see all these things. So this is called a Gherkin's language, and this is called as a line execution program. So just like in Python or YAML file, you will see YAML file while Shan explains the Docker. Okay, so I thought I will just give a heads up right now. So object-oriented programming language means, I mean, how the program will execute as per the object. When I say as per the object, if I say ob.test, it will directly go to the test method. The next line, if I say ob.hello, it will go to the hello method, and it can keep on jumbling. But whereas in Gherkin's, over here, this is line oriented execution. So it will not jumble here and there. If I start from line 20, it will execute line 20, 21, 23, 24, 25. That's how it goes. I hope that's clear, right? So this will act as a test case document too. Remember, initially I was telling, I mean, if we get a file where we have this test case and automation script all together in a single piece, this is that same thing I was trying to refer that time. This dot feature file. Now let's try to paste a simple test steps over here. I will also use the keywords. Okay, I will just delete this and then I will add the manual test case. So look over here. So the feature is ERP application login. The scenario which we're going to test is the title verification. Hang on. Yeah. So, and the next thing is given. So we have given the precondition. Remember, we in our code, we were telling about the precondition, right? So given, as a user open the browser and enter the application URL, when they enter the username and password and click submit, then user is navigated to the dashboard and verify the browser and close the browser. So it's very simple. I mean, you try to make it as much as complicated, but who know how to read this can understand it. And I think this is not only in English, this have been in multiple languages too. So that's the beauty of the feature file, and that's how the behavior driven development is coming all about, which will be explained a little later. And you could see those green icons like pretty format, fine step. I'm not going to come to all those things right away. Let's just try to run this feature file. So I'm going to run as a Cucumber feature. Let's wait for a while. Oh, wow. There you go. This will bring a little bit cheer for the freshers, right? You have the code over there ready-made. So you have this scenario as undefined, and you have 4 steps are also undefined. And what you need to do is simply copy and paste it. Yeah. So we'll just copy all these codes and then we'll paste in a step definition class. So you heard a new word, right? Step definition. So that's a Java class where it does the binding. So what happens is like, so I'll come to it. So I just created a folder, or sorry, not a folder, I should say a package. My bad. So I created a package named step definition. I just created a very simple Java class. Okay. I'm just going to paste it over here. I will just remove few unwanted code. I shouldn't say unwanted, but for this demo, we don't need it at present. So this been an auto generated, right? So we'll just remove it. Similarly, you guys need to import it, okay? For that, all this annotation at the rate, then at the rate, when. you will get the error. You just need to import it. Okay. Let's just remove everything. Okay. Now, if you observe it, in the feature file, we started with given. And if you observe inside, it's given as a user, open the browser and enter the application URL. Even if you don't know coding or even if you don't know Java, anyone could understand, okay, this line of code or whatever things that's going to come up inside this method will execute these steps. Very simple, right? Okay. So I'm just trying to compare you with the feature file. So for the given keyword, it will automatically generate an annotation @ given. Now let's try to run this time. Let's see what will happen. So it says ERP application feature and test case passed. Why it got passed? Because there was no assertion that happened. So it checked over here. If you just compare in the console itself, given as a user, open the browser and enter application URL. The straight away it's shown. I mean, verify login dot as a user. That means that we have a corresponding method corresponding to each steps of the feature file. So that's the only thing it checks, whether we have a corresponding Java code, a Java method corresponding to each line. Now that's been done. Now we are ready to paste our old login test Java. So I'm just going to change the method name. There is no harm in changing the method name, but guys, make sure the things that comes after that annotation, the thing in the double quotes, that shouldn't be changed. If you change it, then your code will not run. Okay. So now it's almost self-explanatory, right? I mean, you have an init browser, you have a verify login, and you have a close browser. Now it's time to copy paste. That's the most thing which every developer or even any tester, automation tester does it. Even I told you earlier, I mean, you just need to copy it and you just need to paste it. But the thing is, you should know. So that's what happens when you copy paste just like that. You could see the error. And if you don't know what's the error, if you are not able to resolve this error, that will become the game changer. Okay. So what happened is, like, I forgot to copy the web driver. So I'll just copy it. I'll paste it. That's it. Now level 1 is success. Precondition is completed. Now let's copy the actions part. You copy it, you paste it. I'm not sure if anyone is trying it live over here. Those who are trying it, keep going. If you have any doubt, just put in the chat window. And finally, the assertion. So this comes in the then part. So then keyword always is used for the actual versus expected. So I'm just going to use that. So, okay, I just named it bad for that file name. Never mind. So guys, next error. In line number 40, you have the next error. Can you guess what's the error or why we have an error in this line number 40? We copied the same code from login test, right? Can you guess? It's because in line number 33, I have given string title is equal to driver.getTitle. In line number 33, that have become a local variable. You see my point. So we have 3 types of variable, right? I mean, local variable, instance, and static. And what's the property of local variable? The visibility will be only inside that method. So that's what I was trying to tell. The programming knowledge comes handy when we try to copy paste. You don't need to think and write hell number of code. I mean, almost everything will be there, but you need to understand how to resolve these kinds of errors. So what I'm going to do is, like, I'll just make title as an instance variable. I'll just move from line 33. I'll just make it as, yeah, it's telling either create a local variable. So I'll just make this as an instance variable. Guys, I hope it's pretty much clear, right? Yeah, I'm just making it. Yeah. Now I'll just initialize it outside every method. Yeah. Anything that's declared inside method is local. Anything that's declared outside method and inside class is instance, right? Okay, I'm not going deeply into all these things. And finally, you have this, the closing stuff. Yeah, copy, paste. I think it's pretty simple, right? So you could see, I mean, anyone who comes in and look into the, so they can understand what's happened in the feature file and what's going to happen even in the step definition class. So let's try to run this. So it's launching the ERP application login screen. So the Chrome driver was started successfully. So guys, I mean, the next section will be mainly for, I mean, it will be for the intermediate level. Just keep watching it. You'll definitely learn more. So now the browser has been launched. Yeah, I mean, let's complete the same thing. I mean, it's the same thing. The precondition. So right now the precondition completed. Then at the rate then part when is completed. Now over here that at the rate then will be executed. Whatever code that was there, that at the, pretty cool, right? So one scenario is passed, and if you could see over here, we have renamed the method. So given as a, if you look in the console, given as a user open the browser and enter the application URL, you could see a corresponding method. So verify login dot init browser. So that method has been invoked, and that's how the execution happens. And that's why it say 4 steps has been passed. Clear? And if you come over here, you could see, yeah. So with the help of the JUnit, we have completed the execution. Good. Now let's have some negative scenario. I'm just going to change the expected, or I mean, what we are going to expect. I'm just going to change it. I just want to make my test case fail this time. So let's fail it. Yeah. Now we're gonna run it and let's see how it's gonna work. Definitely it will fail, but there is something new that you will see this time. Okay. Okay, the Chrome driver started successfully. Those who have worked with the test engine might feel this, I mean, they can easily correlate. Those who are fresher also, I mean, they can start learning it. Okay, so the browser has been launched, sign in button. And there you go. This time we're gonna fail. So even my browser is not closed. Why? Because I have written the closed browser after the assertion part. So which is actually wrong. That's not the right way. But I just want to go just like a beginner. Okay. So if you see over here, one scenario that's been failed, you had 4 steps, 2 has been passed, 1 failed and 1 skipped. That skipped test case. Over there we have written the closing browser. So there comes a framework part. If you just copy paste and do things, then things won't work as we expect. So there comes a framework part comes handy. Okay. So we had 4 steps. 1 step got failed, 1 step was skipped, and 2 was passed. Clear? So that's why it said there is a big need of any automation framework to handle the scenarios end to end. Now this time, what I'm going to do is like, I will just give the URL in this features file. Okay. I'll just copy the URL. So last time we hard coded the URL in the Java code, right? That's not a good practice, guys. I mean, we shouldn't hard code anything in our code. What happens is like when if we try to deploy the code in a server or somewhere, each time we have to restart the server. But if we write the code, I mean, if we give the external values in an Excel file or a feature file or XML or somewhere, you don't need to restart it. you don't need to restart the server. So that all comes in the long term. I mean, when it comes to the real time. If you do right now, you won't feel that much difference. What's the difference? You need to rerun the code anyways. Okay, you'll understand as you start working in any automation project. So this time, I just gave the URL, username, password over here. So now this has become more self-explanatory, right? And if you observe, you could see the external values are highlighted in green. Okay, which itself show these value will be taken from this feature file. And there are multiple ways. So you have 5 ways to fetch it. I'm not going to show it right now. I'll make it as simple as possible. Error. Guess what? We had changed the feature file, right? We had changed the feature file. The moment you change the feature file, what happens is you don't find an exact match of Java code in the step definition file. Correct? If you observe here, it says for two methods, it don't see it. Correct? If you look, our feature file line number 6 and 7, for those 2 lines, we didn't do any change. So it was able to find the exact match in the step definition file or in the step definition Java class, but it couldn't find it. I mean, there is a change in the method signature, and you could see string arg1, and in the second method you have 2 arguments that's been passed. Okay, so let's copy paste it. Yeah, I mean, it's the copy paste itself. Guys, you learn programming language, then it's just a copy paste, nothing more, nothing less. You just copy it. Yeah, we're gonna change that. This time we have an argument that's going to pass as string arg1. So that's a local variable. I'm just going to change it as URL so that it will be more readable, right? Okay, I'll just copy it. I'll just give it in the get method. Okay, that part is done. Now we have the username and password one. Again, copy. Control C, Control V. Yeah, we'll just, this time I'm not going to rename the method, let it be there. I'm just going to rename it as username and password. See, again we are in trouble. You could see 2 errors, right? Line number 28 and line number 30. Can you guess why we got an error again? It's the same thing, guys. I mean, I already told whatever parameter we pass through the method that act as a local variable, and we already have the same variable used inside this method. So now the JVM doesn't know what to do. You have the 2 things same. So I will just rename it. So I'll name it as, yeah, I mean, we'll just change the name. Yeah, you pass or something. Oh, okay, you name, and also I'll change it as you pass. Now the error is gone. Now it's ready to launch. We'll also remove this value. Yeah, I forgot to remove that earlier. I'll just remove it.
Team, just a time check. It's 10:50 now. Yeah, we can move on.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Okay, I'll just move on. Okay, I'm just moving it. I'm going to run this, and this time it's gonna run. And that's it. I mean, that will be run successfully. Okay. Yeah, there you go. This time we have the 4 methods. That, I mean, that one scenario that's passed, and you have the 4 step definitions. Okay. Now I'll introduce you one more thing, which is called as a runner class. Okay. So imagine you have 10 or 20 feature file. You cannot go to each and every feature file, right? You need to have a single point or single location from where you could control every feature file. And there it goes. This is the runner class. And you have 2 annotations, namely @run with and @cucumber options. Okay. So @run with inside that annotation I mentioned cucumber.class, which means this test execution should run like a cucumber test. And let's run it out. So you also see two keywords at the rate cucumber option. You have features and glue. So features, you should mention the folder name where all the location of feature file is there. And inside that glue, you have to mention where the step definition Java file is all about. Okay, I'm just moving out. I mean, maybe you guys will get bored. Yeah, so if you look over here, all the 4 execution has been completed. And this time you will see something more over here. So given, when, then, and everything has been passed. Correct. So that's the way how you have you can run the cucumber test. You have, so I'm not going to execute the negative scenario this time. So that's the beauty of all about the cucumber